Chapter 4 A Warning from God. One autumn day, when I was still in primary school, our desk started to tremble and shake. "Earthquake!" we yelled. We ran outside, some of us falling as we crowded through the narrow door and gathered around our teachers for safety and comfort, like chicks around a mother hen. A few of the girls were crying. We lived in a region where earthquakes happened often, but this felt different. Even after we returned to class, the buildings continued to shake. The rumbling didn't stop. Miss Olfat, my all-time favourite teacher, told us to stay calm. She assured us that it would soon be over, but when another strong earthquake hit within a few minutes of the first, the students were sent home. When I arrived home, I found my mother sitting in the courtyard, where she felt the safest because there was no roof above her. She was reciting verses from the Holy Quran as tears streamed down her face. The after effects kept coming and continued past nightfall, and every time they did, my mother ran outside and insisted we go with her. My father told her not to upset the children, but we were already upset because the ground was shaking. The earthquake of 8th of October 2005 turned out to be one of the worst in history. It was 7.6 on the Richter scale and was felt as far away as Kabul and Delhi. Aftershocks continued for at least a month. Our city of Mingora was largely spared, but the northern areas of Pakistan, including our beloved Chandala, were devastated. When we finally heard from our family and friends there, they said they had thought it was the end of the world. They described the roar of the rocks sliding down hills and everyone running out of their houses reciting the Holy Quran, the screams as the roof crashed down and the howls of the buffalo and goats. They were terrified, and then, when the destruction stopped, they waited for help. The government was slow to move, but help came immediately from rescue workers from a conservative and religious group called Tehrik el-Nifaz el-Sharia el-Mohammadi, TNSM, or the Movement for Enforcement of Islamic Law, led by Sufi Muhammad and his son-in-law Malala Fazlullah. Eventually, the government tried to help, and the aid from the Americans, who had troops and helicopters in nearby Afghanistan, made it in. But most of the volunteers and medical help came from organisations that were linked with militant groups like the TSMM. They helped clear and rebuild destroyed villages. They led prayers and buried bodies. They took in many of the 11,000 orphan children. In our culture, orphans are usually adopted by the extended family, but the earthquake had been so bad that entire families had been wiped out or lost everything and were in no position to care for additional children. Many of the orphans went to live in fundamentalist madrasas. Mullahs from the TNSM preached that the earthquake was a warning from God. If we did not mend our ways and introduce Sharia, or Islamic law, more severe punishment would come. The whole country was in shock for a long time after the earthquake. We were vulnerable, which made it much easier for someone with bad intentions to use nation's fear for his gain.